Yo, welcome to the video. So in this video, we're officially going to be saying goodbye to the red interior in the S. So I know a lot of people really like the red and black interior combo, especially on the S among a lot of cars. From like a production standpoint, I know that they made the least amount of these red and black on white interior combos. So I guess it does make them a little bit more valuable. It's just never really been my favorite thing, to be honest with you. The red on black with the red on black with the red on black is just, it's a lot to me. You know, it's really busy and that's just not really my style. It's never really been what I'm about, so I'm going to be swapping these out for a more solid option. So the other major thing is that these seats are really starting to fall apart on me, which is such a bummer because this car's been an everyday driver as long as I've owned it, but the big thing is that I've never had a garage spot or any shade to park under, and that's what really kills car interiors, is just sun exposure. You can see the passenger side is pretty torn up as well, which is a bummer, and the perforated material ends up creating kind of like a line along which these cracks form, and then it's, you know, off to the races. So same thing here. The armrest has seen better days. So I'm a really big interior guy, so seeing stuff like this, it's just hard to be cool with because the interior is where you spend all your time, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be replacing the red and black seats that are in the car currently with these full-faced OEM black leather seats that I was able to find. So these are in pretty rad condition overall. This is the passenger seat, and if I press down on the leather, you can see that it's nice and soft. You can tell that because it sort of bends around where you're pressing it without cracking along the perforation. That's when you know you've gone too far. So the driver's seat is also in pretty good shape, as you can see. Same soft, supple leather on the driver's side. And the other big thing is that the bolster isn't completely destroyed. That's like a really big thing with these seats. The S2000 has like very aggressive bolstering on the seats. So finding these used is really challenging because this bolster on the driver's side, which is where you kind of get in and out from, will usually be flattened like a pancake. So before we throw them back in the car, in this video I really want to take 2 seconds to get them as cleaned up as possible, as close to brand new condition as we can. We're going to be doing some cleaning, we're going to be doing a little bit of re-dyeing, and we're actually going to be doing some foam swapping. And that I really think is going to take these seats from a solid 6.5 out of 10 to maybe even an 8 or a 9. So that's what we have on deck today. So we got the seats pulled in to give you kind of a better view as to what these look like underneath a little bit of shade. Some scuffing and like kind of nastiness stuck on like some perforation like there, for example, but no rips or tears, which is good news. Driver's seat is in a little bit worse condition. We have some weirdness going on kind of around the headrest, a little bit more oils and kind of like shininess on the bolsters, so we're gonna get that cleaned up, and we're gonna get to this seat foam in a little bit. Since this is probably the first time these have been cleaned in a really long time, I'm going to be pretty aggressive with my approach. So I have a concentrated interior cleaner solution in here mixed with some water. I have a stiff bristled brush, and then I have a leather and vinyl cleaner from Meguiar's. So let's get started. So this is the result after the first pass, and it's pretty gross, so happy that this is off the seat. Okay, wow, I was not ready for these to look as good as they do, and just by comparison, the untouched driver's seat is over on the right side, and I'll move the seats a little bit just to kind of get some light on it so you can really get an even comparison. The overall turnout is absolutely insane. I'm super happy with these. Okay, through the passenger seat on the right side, and now I'm gonna get started on the driver's side. This little indentation you might have seen earlier, I'm gonna try to massage it out by getting the material pretty wet. So I'm gonna soak this lower portion, kind of rub it out as much as I can, and I'm gonna see if I can get this to improve it all. That could literally not have worked better. In this case, we used an interior cleaner, and you kind of massage it out, and then it totally fixes the problem. So that could not have worked better. I just honestly can't believe how good these look. I'm 100% in the most transparent way possible, like just in disbelief. I was fully ready to like accept these as like a solid, like, you know, 6.5 out of 10, but these look awesome, dude. So next item on the list for this project includes a seat foam swap. So let me go ahead and lay everything out and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So earlier I mentioned that one of the best parts about sourcing these specific seats is that the driver's side bolster on this seat is actually really solid. This is a much better condition that you can normally expect to find in the used market if you're looking to replace your seats. And while this is really good, it's not perfect. So this is our replacement foam cushion, and this is a part that I've been saving for like a really long time. I ended up ripping this guy out of a set of seats that I owned way back in the day. But the cool thing about this exact cushion specifically is that the driver's side bolster is cherry, man. This thing is perfect. So this is gonna be our replacement that we're gonna be swapping into that seat. So the one caveat to the swap is that this is actually a passenger side seat cushion. There's a little bit of breakage, if you can see that. So we're gonna do a little bit of foam repair here and it's gonna look good. But once we get this swapped over into the driver's seat, those bolsters will essentially be swapped and we'll have the stronger bolster on the outside and we'll have the weaker bolster inside being supported by the tunnel. No more of this kind of, you know, smushy softness that we have in the current seat. So what we're gonna do actually is we're gonna take a little bit of high density foam that I have here and we're actually just gonna stuff it. This is usually something you only wanna do for small cracks like this. If it's any bigger, or if it's any gnarlier, if it's just more advanced, then this probably won't work for you. If that is the case, what you generally want to do is slice out this whole section and then replace it with another section that hasn't been pieced apart or cracked. That's just kind of the way it goes. In general, more is more. You kind of want it to be a little bit thicker because when the cover goes over it, it's going to smush down just a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to throw in a little bit of spray adhesive. So next we're gonna cut out a little square of this like black mesh material. You really don't need much. So once you've given it a little bit of time to kind of tack up, you can pick it up and then just kind of attach it as needed. And then we're gonna pull it super tight. And that does it for the repair. So it's pretty simple. It doesn't look super amazing, but it doesn't have to because the cover is gonna go over anyway. And this mesh material is actually perfect for this application because it's thin. You're not gonna be able to feel it through the cover. You're not gonna be able to like tell it's there. It's not gonna make noises when you kind of squeak past it or anything like that. Same is actually used on this corner. This is OEM. I'm not sure why that's there specifically, but similar fabric, similar application, so that's good to go. Okay, so next I'm gonna start taking apart the seat and pulling the leather cover off of it. Next thing we need to do is pull these guys off. These are called hog rings. They're really common in upholstery and we're gonna have to snap them off. They're single use, so you don't have to feel bad about tossing them away. Okay, so now that we have the seat pan out from the seat, this is what I wanted to show you and this is what we're going to be modifying. So this is the driver's side seat pan, and as you can see, it has this metal provision here that is supposed to strengthen the bolster on your way out. So what we're going to be doing is, because this is a passenger side cushion, we're going to be hollowing out a little bit more of a cavity on this side, and we're actually going to be refilling this side with foam to give it a little bit more strength for when we reinstall it. The last thing that we have to do before we assemble the seat back together is we're gonna line the entire perimeter of the seat pan with this sound deadening felt tape. The reason that we're doing it on the perimeter of this pan is because, listen. This thing squeaks. Basically, anytime you get in or out of the car, the foam flexes underneath the seat and it makes contact with the seat pan. And it's not really a big deal to a lot of people, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the preventative measure of lining this whole pan with that, and then hopefully I never have to hear that noise again. Okay, repaired the bolster, modified the foam, and cleaned up the seat pan. We're now ready to begin the reassembly process. Okay, so I got ahead on putting the driver's side back together. So this is all in one piece, got both seats kind of lined up just to kind of show you the final result. And it really honestly is mind-blowing how far these have come. When I picked these up, they weren't in half the condition that they are now. So I'm just really stoked on how these cleaned up. The driver's side, it cleaned up amazingly. I'm super impressed with just the durability and materials and construction that Honda really thought into these seats. This lower section on the driver's side bolster ended up not needing any dye, which I was fully prepared to do earlier. I was thinking about sanding this back and like touching it all up, but to be honest with you, less is more. The seat pan looks really, really great. The foam swap went according to plan perfectly, no problems whatsoever. So this is the exact result that we were looking for from the get-go. We wanted a strong, pristine, nice and narrow seat bolster. Pulled the seats out one more time to give you a final look at the result, and dude, I just can't say it enough. I'm so happy with the way that these turned out. I mean, everything about them, I mean, they cleaned up well, the foam swap went smoothly, everything bolted right back up, no issues, and it just looks really, really good. Really, we just got lucky with the find. Like, finding these in the first place is honestly like a win in itself. One final pro tip in case you're doing this at home is get a steamer. A steamer is really gonna help you get the material to mold to the new foam that's underneath it, and it kind of gives it that untouched look that I'm a big fan of. So that about does it for this video. I really wish I could say that these are going back in the car in this video, but they're not actually, because I'm waiting on one more part that we're gonna be throwing in the car along with these at the same time, and the combination of these two things together I'm really hoping is going to transform the car. Okay, so with that being said, thank you for checking this out. Thank you for making it this far. If you did, super stoked on the next couple of videos, so thank you for sticking around. I'll catch you in the next one.